Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another day of reading the Bible in Leviticus, starting in, 11:46, and then working my way down from there. It's a very chilly day here and very disgusting outside, but we're making it through day by day. As I've said before, my name is Daniel, working through the Bible, and as I hear or see something that catches my eye, I'll stop and talk about it, and go from there. Last time we were together, or I was reading, it was talking about what is not okay to eat from God. He's saying what is not. So we're going to kind of pick up there and go from there. So I'm going to start 46 and then work my way back and then, wrap up in about 20 minutes. This is the law regarding the animals and the bird and every living thing that moves in the waters and everything that swarms on the earth. To make a distinction between the ceremonially unclean and the ceremonially clean, and between the animal that may be eaten and the animal that may not be eaten. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel, saying, if a woman conceives and gives birth to a male child, she shall be ceremonially unclean for 7 days, unclean as during her monthly period. On the 8th day, the flesh of the male child's foreskin shall be circumcised. Then she shall remain intimately separated 33 days to be purified from the blood. She shall not touch any consecrated thing, nor enter the courtyard of the sanctuary until the days of her purification are over. If she gives birth to a female child, then she shall be unclean for 2 weeks, as during her monthly period, and shall remain intimately separated 66 days to be purified from the blood. When the days of her purification are completed, whether for a son or daughter, she shall bring to the priest at the doorway of the tent of meeting a 1-year-old lamb as a burnt offering, and a young pigeon or a turtle dove as a sin offering. He shall offer it to the Lord and make atonement for her, and she shall be cleansed from the flow of her blood. This is the law for her who gives birth to a child, whether a male or a female child. If she cannot afford a lamb, then she will take 2 turtle doves or young pigeons, one as a burnt offering and the other as a sin offering. The priests shall make atonement for her, and she will be clean." So I don't get is what makes her unclean. If females are designed to have children, that is their design, and males are designed to have the seed, why is the female unclean when she has birth? Maybe it's to make her rest. Maybe it's like just another way for her to rest for that time. But 66 days seems like a long time. Then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, when a man has a swelling on the skin of his body, a scab or a bright spot, and it becomes the infection of leprosy on the skin of his body, then he shall be brought to Aaron the priest, or to one of his sons the priests. The priest shall look at the diseased spot on the skin of his body, and if the hair in the infection has turned white and the infection appears deeper than the skin of his body, it is an infection of leprosy. When the priest has looked at him, he shall pronounce him ceremonially unclean. Ceremonially. Yeah, there we go. If the bright spot is white on the skin of his body and does not appear to be deeper than the skin, and the hair on it has not turned white, the priest shall isolate the person who has the infection for 7 days. The priest shall examine it on the 7th day, and if in his estimation the infection has not changed and has not spread on the skin, then the priest shall also isolate him for 7 more days. The priest shall examine him on the 7th day, and if the infection has a more normal color and the spot has not spread on the skin, the priest shall pronounce him clean. It is only a scab. and he shall wash his clothes and be clean. But if the scab spreads further on the skin after he has shown himself to the priest for his ceremonial cleansing, he shall show himself to the priest again. The priest shall look, and if the scab has spread on the skin, then he shall pronounce him unclean. It is leprosy. When a leprous infection is on one person, he shall be brought to the priest. The priest shall examine him. And if there is a white swelling on the skin, and it has turned the hair white, and there is new raw flesh in the swelling, it is a chronic leprosy on the skin of his body, and the priest shall pronounce him unclean. He shall not isolate him, because he is clearly unclean. But if the suspected leprosy breaks out further on the skin, and it covers all of the skin of the one who has the outbreak from his head to his foot, wherever the priest looks, the priest shall examine him. If the suspected leprosy has covered his entire body, he shall pronounce him clean of the disease. It has all turned white, and he is clean. That's only if he has fresh skin underneath. But whenever raw flesh appears on him, he shall be unclean. Okay, I was wrong. The priest shall examine the raw flesh, and he shall pronounce him unclean. The raw flesh is unclean. It is leprosy. But if the raw flesh turns again, and it is changed to white, then he shall come to the priest, and the priest shall examine him. And if the diseased part is changed to white, then the priest shall pronounce him who had the disease to be clean. He is clean. And when there is on the skin in the body the scar of a boil that is healed, and in the place of the boil there is a white swelling or a bright spot, reddish white, then it shall be shown to the priest. And if the priest shall look, and if it looks deeper than the skin, and the hair on it has turned white, the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is the disease of leprosy. It has broken out into the boil. But if the priest examines it and finds no white hair in it, and it is not deeper than the skin, and it is dull in color, then the priest shall isolate him for 7 days. If it spreads further on the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a disease. But if the bright spot remains where it is and does not spread, it is a scar of the boil, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. Or if the body has on its skin a burn from a fire, and the new flesh of the burn becomes a bright spot, reddish white or white, then the priest shall examine it. And if the hair in the bright spot has turned white, and it appears deeper than the skin, then leprosy has broken out in the burn. So the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is the disease of leprosy. But if the priest examines it, and there is no white hair in the bright spot, and it is not deeper than the rest of the skin, but it is dull in color, then the priest shall isolate him for 7 days. And the priest shall examine him on the 7th day. If it is spreading further on the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is leprosy. But if the bright spot remains on its place and has not spread to the skin, but it is dull in color, it is a swelling from the burn, and the priest shall pronounce him clean, for it is a scar of the burn. When a man or a woman has a disease on the head or the beard, which is the face, the priest shall examine the diseased place. If it appears to be deeper than the skin, with yellow thin hair in it, the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a scale. It is leprosy of the head or beard. But if the priest examines the spot infected by the scale, and it does not appear deeper than the skin, and there is no black hair in it, the priest shall isolate the person with a scaly infection for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest shall examine the diseased spot. If the scale has not spread and has no yellow hair in it, and the scale does not look deeper than the skin, then he shall shave himself. But he shall not shave the scale. And the priest shall isolate the person with the scale for 7 more days. Then on the 7th day, the priest shall look at the scale. If the scale has not spread on the skin, and appears to be no deeper than the skin, the priest shall pronounce him clean. He shall wash his clothes and be clean. But if the scale spreads farther on the skin after his cleansing, then the priest shall examine him. And if the scale has spread on the skin, the priest not look for the yellowish hair, he is unclean. If in the priest's estimation, the scale has remained without spreading, and black hair has grown in it, the scale is healed, he is clean, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. When a man or woman has bright spots on the skin of the body, even with white bright spots, then the priest shall look, and if the bright spots on the skin of their bodies is a dull white, it is only a rash that has broken out on the skin. He is clean. If a man loses his hair on his head, he is bald, but he is clean. And if he loses the hair from the front of his head, he is bald on the forehead, but he is clean. But if there is reddish white infection on the bald head or the forehead, it is leprosy breaking out on his bald head or forehead. Then the priest shall examine him. And if the disease swelling is reddish white on his bald head or forehead, like the appearance of leprosy on the skin of the body, he is a leprous man, he is unclean. The priest shall most certainly pronounce him unclean. His disease is on his head. As for the leper who has the infection, his clothes shall be torn, and the hair of his head shall be uncovered. And he shall cover his mustache and call out, "Unclean, unclean!" He shall remain ceremonially unclean as long as the disease is on him. He is unclean. He shall live alone. He shall live outside the camp. When a garment has a mark of leprosy in it, whether it is a wool garment or a linen garment, whether in woven or knitted material, or in the wrap or woof of linen or wool, or in a skin or anything that is made of leather, if the mark is greenish or reddish in the garment, or in the leather, or in the warp of woof, or in any article made of leather, it is an infestation of leprosy, and shall be shown to the priest. The priest shall examine the mark, and shall quarantine the article with the mark for 7 days. He shall examine the mark on the 7th day. If it has spread in the garment, whether in the warp of the woof or in the leather, whatever the leather's purpose, the mark is a malignant leprosy, it is unclean. So he shall burn the garment, whether the warp or woof in wool or linen, or anything made of leather in which the mark occurs, for it is malignant leprosy. It shall be burned in the fire. But if the priest sees that the mark has not spread in the garment, either in the warp of the woof or on anything made of leather, then the priest shall order that they wash the thing in which the mark occurs, and he shall quarantine it for 7 more days. The priest shall examine the article with the mark after it has been washed, and if the mark has not changed color, even though the mark was not spread, it is unclean. You shall burn it in fire. It is a corroding mildew, whether on top or the front of it. If the priest looks and the mark has faded after it is washed, he shall tear it out of the garment or the leather or out of the warp or woof. If it still appears in the garment, either in the warp or in the woof, or anything made of leather, it is an outbreak. You shall burn the marked part in the fire. So I guess what I'm seeing is leprosy was a big thing back then. And they had to protect against it, which, leprosy, I don't know if it spreads. It possibly does. I don't know if it's like a contact thing, but evidently it was bad enough that they made laws and rules about it. The garment, whether the warp or the woof or anything made of leather from which the mildew has departed after washing, shall then be washed a second time, and it will be ceremonially clean. This is the law for leprous disease in a garment of wool or linen, either in the warp or woof, or anything made of leather, to pronounce it unclean or clean. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, This shall be the law of the leper on the day of this ceremonial cleansing. He shall be brought to the priest at a meeting place outside the camp. The priest shall go out of the camp to meet him, and the priest shall examine him. And if the leper has been healed of the infection of leprosy, then the priest shall give orders to take 2 live clean birds and cedar wood and scarlet string and hyssop for the one to be cleansed. Next, the priest shall order that the one of the birds be killed as a sacrifice in an earthenware container over fresh running water. As for the live bird, he shall take it together with the cedar wood and the scarlet string and the hyssop, and shall dip them in the live bird in the blood of the bird sacrificed over the running water. He shall sprinkle the blood 7 times on the one to be cleansed from the leprosy, and shall pronounce him ceremonially clean. He then shall let the live bird go free over an open field. The one to be cleansed shall wash his clothes, shave off all his hair, and bathe in water, and he shall be clean. After that he may come into the camp, but he shall stay outside of his tent for 7 days. On the 7th day he shall shave off all his hair. He shall shave his head and his beard and his eyebrows, even all his hair on his body. Then he shall wash his clothes and bathe his body in water and be clean. Now on the 8th day he shall take 2 male lambs without blemish, and a yearling ewe lamb without blemish, and 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with olive oil as a grain offering, and 1 log, about a pint of oil. And the priest who cleanses him shall present the man to be cleansed and his offering before the Lord at the doorway of the tent of meeting. Then the priest shall take 1 of the male lambs and offer it as a guilt offering with a log of oil, and present them as a wave offering before the Lord. He shall kill the male lamb in the place where they kill the sin offering and the burnt offering, in the sacred place like the courtyard of the tabernacle. For the guilt offering, like the sin offering, belongs to the priest. It is most holy. The priest shall take some of the blood of the guilt offering and put it on the lobe of the right ear of the one to be cleansed, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. The priest shall also take some of the log of oil and pour it onto the palm of his own left hand. And the priest shall dip his right finger in the oil that is in his left palm, and with his finger sprinkle some of the oil 7 times before the Lord. Of the rest of the oil which is in his palm, the priest shall put some on the lobe of the right ear of the one to be cleansed, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot, and on top of the blood of the guilt offering. The remaining oil that the priest's palm shall be put on the head of the one to be cleansed. The priest shall make atonement for him before the Lord. Next the priest shall offer the sin offering to make atonement for the one to be cleansed for his uncleanliness, and afterward kill the burnt offering. The priest shall offer the burnt offering and the grain offering on the altar, and the priest shall make atonement for him, and he shall be clean. But if the cleansed leper is poor and his means are insufficient, then he is to take 1 lamb as a guilt offering to be waved to make atonement for him, and 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering, and a log of oil. And 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, such as he can afford. One shall be a sin offering, the other a burnt offering. He shall bring them on the 8th day for his ceremonial cleansing to the priest at the doorway of the tent of meeting before the Lord. The priest shall take the lamb of the guilt offering and the log of oil, and shall present them as a wave offering before the Lord. Next, he shall kill the lamb of the guilt offering, and the priest is to take some of the blood of the guilt offering and put it on the lobe of the right ear of the one to be cleansed, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. The priest shall pour some of the oil onto his left palm, and with his right finger the priest shall sprinkle some of the oil that is in his left palm 7 times before the Lord. The priest shall put some of the oil in his palm on the lobe of the right ear of the one to be cleansed, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot, on the places where he has put the blood of the guilt offering. Well, I would say that's some wild stuff, man. Where are we? I think it's right around here. Anyway, so evidently leprosy was a big deal back then. I mean, it's still a big deal, right? People become leprous. But there are so many ways to, I guess it was because that many people in the desert, maybe in those times, leprosy was a big deal and they had to prevent against it. But it seems like out of all the things that could be protected against, leprosy was the biggest back then. Maybe that's all they had to worry about. It's like famine and leprosy as far as disease. But kind of glad we don't, have that now, as bad anyway. Next time, we'll dive in deeper, still going through the same parts. Thank you for coming to see me, and I appreciate it. Have a good day.